Never seen a lame man walk. Never heard a dumb man talk. Never seen a blind man see. I promise you will change his name. Never seen a canceled debt. Never seen all the poor get fed. Never seen a prisoner set free. I promise you will change his name.
What is up, people of the internet and podcast listeners all over these United States of Americas? I said that wrong. How you doing? This is Bigger T, and I'm here with the podcast as always with my man Big C. How you doing, Clint?
Man, I'm good. I'm so good. It was
good.
What a great week last week. I mean,
it was a great week.
It was a great week. The mighty Panthers, they put them dirty Bologna Eagles over their knee.
Just clip their wings.
Yeah, clip their wings. A good old-fashioned shellacking. I didn't go to the game because I refused to be that old man that sits out on the field like, back in my day. I just because I'm like, I joked that back in my day our pass play was a draw because it was. And now they run that spread, and it looks like just a big notch of fun out there.
That's right.
But
yeah, man, we started out Friday night with that. Then Arkansas wins on Saturday.
Yeah.
My Brownies win on Sunday against the Bengals and dirty cats from South Ohio.
Dude, and I tell you what, if you're a Baker Mayfield fan, which I am, Monday this morning, which is Monday because we're recording it a day earlier.
Yeah,
the Sports Center and everything was glorious because everybody has to just pretty much go, yeah, Cleveland's better without Odell Beckham Jr. But Odell Beckham Jr., OBJ's still a good guy, but they have to admit, like the chemistry just wasn't there between them two, and it was becoming a detriment to the team.
Yeah,
and so the best thing was for them to move apart from each other. And
so we had all those good football things happen that weekend. And then we get ready to do the podcast, and we got our boy Patrick Netherton from beautiful Shreveport, Louisiana, the host of the Patrick Netherton Show. He is back with us once again. You can find his show on weekdays on 11:30 The Tiger in Shreveport. You can find it on Facebook. Patrick, how in the world are you, buddy?
I appreciate you getting the notes correct on my show. Thank you very much.
That's no problem.
Super professional.
Yeah, that's what we are here, buddy. We are, in the adjectives that we use to describe ourselves, professionals right there at the top.
It's on the list.
That's right. Well, man, it's good to have you with us. Thanks for coming on. The beard's looking great.
I mean, it's look, this part's going this way, so I'm trying to kind of make sure, I want people to be distracted by all of this so they don't notice this continuing to creep backwards.
There you go. Clint, he's got all kinds of messed up.
Yeah, it's thinning so bad right here.
That's right.
I got the Friar Tuck thing going on, and it's just, woo.
It might be time for the full blade on that one. I think you might be getting close.
The only reason I don't do it is because I know I'm too lazy to keep up with it.
That's a good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I know because what I do is I cut it with like the one, and then I let it grow out until I have to comb it.
With Neo from The Matrix?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Keanu Reeves himself comes over.
That's right.
Gives me a trim.
He seems like the kind of guy that would do that, though. I mean, he seems like that kind of dude. Himself. Yeah,
that's right. Well, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Patrick, I know you and I partaked many times in the movie Tommy Boy over the years.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's a dirty dog lie. And so each week we do a Holy Shnikes moment. Now, we did one last week that just having you on here, we wanted to get your response to this.
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
Because we want to recap last week's because we're not sure anything can beat last week's ever.
All right.
Okay. Clint, you want to give him the summary?
So,
I know you've heard this story.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the name Pole Assassin?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Pole Assassin and Monkey, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on Pole Assassin and said Monkey?
Well, you have to remember that I because of current pending litigation between myself and Pole Assassin, due to some benefits that were not returned with services unrendered for payment. I can't really talk about Pole Assassin because I'm legally not allowed to.
All right, well, moving on. We're just gonna scoot you on. So
Yeah.
all right.
No, look, it's
holy Nikes.
Yeah, there's your holy
Like,
Nikes moment. No, look, it's completely insane, right? Like the Texas assistant coach who's getting paid a bunch of money is dating a stripper. Apparently left his wife, from what I understand, for a stripper with a monkey, and the monkey's part of her act. And it's just it's a whole thing, man. Like what kind of a world do we live in when you as a gentleman, or a lady, if that's your proclivities, that's okay. If you want to go partake in some of the adult entertainment area of the world, why is there a monkey involved? Like, what does the monkey do that provides any sort of gratification to the people that are watching? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Now,
I
you're
can't get it.
upsetting me. You're really upsetting me right now, Patrick. Because
Okay, because you like
I don't
monkeys
know,
with
because
your
it's an
strippers?
emotional
What?
support monkey, from what I've been told. She needs
But I mean, it's
the
an
monkey there
emotional-
with her, or she's not going to be able to do a react.
I mean,
she needs the monkey. The monkey sits behind her and just kind of claps.
I can't take off my clothes unless there's a monkey watching me. Like,
Yes.
what? How does
Yeah.
how does one get emotional support?
It's a real disease with doctors and medicine, Patrick.
It's I mean, look, we've gotten to the point now where there's like emotional support birds and geese and ferrets. Like, there's all kinds of animals that cannot in any way emotionally support someone that are being used as emotional support animals. So Pole Assassin and does the monkey have a name, by the way? Do we ever establish if the monkey has a name?
I don't think I ever saw a name.
And I don't know if you're Sark, do you even have that guy go out on the road and recruit? Yeah.
Of course you do. I mean,
there's some dads goes, oh, you're that one day the Pole Assassin. All right.
I mean, what 20-year-old, 19-year-old kid wouldn't immediately see that coach coming and go, oh, well, you got video of that act on your phone? Let's take a look, see, right? Like, what does the monkey do?
You definitely have him go after the JUCO kids.
That's
because they're close to 21, they can get in.
Well, I'll put it to you this way: you don't have him go after the private school kids that are church affiliated.
No,
you stay with the public schools and the JUCOs with that guy. But I mean, look, it's what's who was it? James Franklin, I believe, and lots of coaches say this, but James Franklin always famously talked about he wanted his coaches to have really good-looking wives, because that told him, I think it was James Franklin, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure it was, said that he wants his coaches to have really good-looking wives because that means they can recruit.
Yeah.
So, at this point, if you've got a stripper with a monkey act in your back pocket, like, yeah, they're going to come down to the 40 acres and play for the Longhorns. Who wouldn't?
Yeah, you got to think about it. If it's down between playing for A&M in Texas, your final two schools, and you're knowing that you're going to at least get to live, maybe Pole Assassin will come to practice. You don't know.
Right. Like, can I pet your monkey? Like, I mean, is that something that can, can we bring the monkey to practice?
Apparently this monkey bites.
Well, see, and here's the thing. She was putting on a haunted, like a walkthrough thing at her house.
Right.
And the kid went to the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the emotional support monkey decided to
Yeah.
bite.
That emotional, I mean, whose emotions are being supported by the monkey biting some random 11-year-old that's walking back there? Like that's not good.
Yeah.
Look, if it comes down to you go join the cult at A&M, and you have to make all the weird sounds and do little crazy hand motions and all of the stuff that they do, or you get to go and potentially hang out with the stripper monkey. Like, I think you go to Texas.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so once again, that's a holy shnikes that will always be a holy shnikes.
It's tough to beat. Tough to beat.
It's the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and me and Travis both have one. I don't think either one of us is going to top that.
You both have an emotional support monkey?
Yes.
No. I've got no.
But the other holy shnikes we have for this week is Inglewood High School went into a game last weekend. Their quarterback had just signed or committed to UCLA. In this game, they're playing another Inglewood High School. They win the game 106-0. The quarterback played the whole game. They went for 2 up 104-0 to finish the game off. The coach for the team, the Inglewood team that won, has yet to be heard from. They issued an apology through the principal of the school. She issued an apology and said that he had sent an apology to the other team. What do we think of a coach that does that?
Complete lack of sportsmanship. First thing I'm thinking, it's just classless. I wouldn't want my son to play for somebody like that. And how do you feel if you're one of them fathers who takes just this, for example, takes your son to practice every day? Maybe your son's a third string center or third string quarterback, and you expect him to get some playing time. And so it's bad for your kids. It's bad for the other kids. Absolutely there's nothing good that came out of this other than some grown man with obviously some insecurities stroked his ego a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm on record as saying winning with class is as important as losing with class. I'm a huge believer in that. I've gotten in arguments with people about this. Mm-hmm. You as the team that is overmatched the other team, you have a duty in my mind to win convincingly, fine, but do not embarrass someone. Leaving in your quarterback, it's one thing if they've got their fourth string guys in and they're running, tailback dive right over the center, and you're just too good, right? I mean, that's one thing, but I mean, this should be running clock. This should be, hey, my thing did a thumbs up when I did a thumbs up in the thing. See that? I got a little emoji. That's pretty funny. So yeah, it'll we got to hold it up there for a second. It'll pop the emoji up there. Or maybe not. Your thumb's too gross. So I mean, there is an obligation to me, especially at the high school ranks. Yeah. When you get to professionals, right, they're all getting paid. That's one thing. And I still think you should win with class as much as you should. But at the high school ranks, what are you gaining by beating a team 106-0? You're really, honestly, you're teaching your kids a really terrible lesson in that you should go around kicking people when they're down. I mean, that would be the equivalent. I mean, T, you and I are both very large people, right? So that would be the equivalent of us going and just starting to push down third graders in the playground. And every time they tried to get up, we just keep pushing them down and keep pushing them down. What are you doing other than being a bully? So you're teaching a bad lesson. You're embarrassing people. I saw the school ultimately suspended the guy, and rightfully so. If you're back there and you're running it in the eye with your fifth string guys, the last guys on the bench, that's one thing. But if you're keeping your starters in and you're going for two, you're absolutely positively being an absolute jackass.
If I'm Kelly from UCLA, I'm not happy my quarterback I just got committed is still in that game that late.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's not his, it's not the quarterback's fault. But yeah, I wouldn't be happy about it either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's total classless act by that coach and that team. And teaching those kids, like you said, as being a classless example to them. Clint,
yeah,
what
absolutely.
was yours?
So Arkansas cast off. What are the guys that Chad Morris looked at and says, you know what? We don't need you. There's no room for you here. The first one got him fired. That was, of course, Ty Story came back home. Cole Kelly, he won basically the Heisman Trophy for FCS last year. You can diminish that accomplishment saying it was a COVID year. Some teams didn't play. Man, he's having another killer year. He actually, in a loss to University of Incarnate Word, Southeast Louisiana, he threw for 647 yards and 3 touchdowns with a 168 QB rating. He's got
Steamboat.
Yeah, showing off. I'm starting to believe after watching this Arkansas team the last couple years, seeing what Ty Story did when he left. Looking at Cole Kelly, even though it's FCS.
And Starkle.
And Starkle's doing decent. I think he's had a rough year, but he's having to play more. I mean, they're getting a lot of people's best shot, too, because they had such a good year last year. But I think Chad Morris might have been the problem, guys.
Yeah.
I really do. Allen, Texas got 2 losses for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Not ever, but in a long time.
Yeah.
Lost a conference game.
Yeah.
Got their home winning streak snapped. It's like, woo.
Well, now, in the long run, we're better off with Pittman.
Oh, for sure.
And we're better off with Kj Jefferson.
Oh, 110%. 110%.
I will say this. I'll piggyback off of what you just said, because both of those teams are in the Southland Conference where I call games. I've seen Cole Kelly multiple times, and the dude's he is just a massive human being. Like, he's as big as most tight ends are. He's pretty athletic. You can run a little bit, not super athletic, but he always falls forward for yardage. I'll give you kind of a holy shnikes about that game that you didn't even mention. And that is the fact that the Incarnate Word quarterback, Cameron Ward, also threw for 600 yards in that game and 7 touchdowns, as Incarnate Word, who was ranked 22 at the time, beat number 6 Southeastern Louisiana 55-52. Both QBs over 600, both offenses over 700, and 7 touchdowns for Incarnate Word's QB. Cole Kelly had 3 rushing and 2 passing, so 5 total for him.
So, Patrick, it just we didn't really come on with a plan today. We had a little bit of a plan.
As opposed to all the rest of the shows that I've watched you guys do.
But hey, what's your thoughts on Kj Jefferson? I'm just, because at the beginning of the season, a lot of Arkansas fans weren't sold on him. I thought he was going to be special. And I think he's probably, in my opinion, the second best quarterback in the SEC behind Corral. What are your thoughts? What do you think of Kj Jefferson?
I mean, I can't put him in front of Bryce Young. I just can't. He's super talented. There's no doubt about it. And look, it also helps when you have an offensive coaching staff that's willing to use him in the correct way. You mentioned Chad Morris, who had such a sterling offensive reputation coming from Clemson, and it just never worked out at Arkansas. The offense just never click that way. But when you got a guy, like Kendall Briles, who's willing to come in and he's willing to let Jefferson run a little bit, not a ton, but let him run a little bit. Also let him throw. And obviously he showed off the arm against Mississippi State. He's a super talented kid. And when you've got an offensive system that's willing to use his abilities in the right way, you see what you've got here. And you add Sam Pittman, who's kind of that old school offensive line guy. So you're going to get good play up front. It's just a really good mix on the offensive side for Arkansas. And then I love Barry Odom. I even, one of my picks for this week was Arkansas -4.5, which they didn't quite get to. But one of the reasons I liked that pick was because just like LSU did to Mike Leach, drop eight. Barry Odom's the king of the drop eight. He's one of the ones that really, is one of the absolute best at it. And so you knew that he was going to find a way to frustrate Mike Leach. He was going to make Leach, Leach doesn't like to take these 10, 12, 11, 14 play drives. You knew he was going to get frustrated with that. And that's exactly what Arkansas did to him.
Yeah. Very much so. Odom had a great, there were some times when, we wish we'd had a little more pressure on the line. We stuck with the 3, we stuck with the drop 8. Very much so. I would have liked to have seen a few more blitzes, especially in the second half. We didn't blitz hardly at all in the second half.
And that's the problem. And that's what you do when you face Mike Leach, you blitz, and especially if you blitz and play man, it's just crosser, and they're just going to absolutely eat you up. And that's exactly what LSU did last year when the dude threw for 600 yards or whatever against LSU in the opening game. They wouldn't stop playing man, and they wouldn't stop coming after him, and he just kept throwing crossers one right after the other. Dropping 8 is the thing to do. Now, last week, Mike Leach was actually patient and ran the ball a bunch, but he he's not a guy that has that kind of patience week in and week out. And if you just keep forcing him to take the small gains, eventually he's going to get greedy.
Yeah. And Arkansas did a good job of that for sure. I think we have some players that do a good job of getting there, especially on delayed blitzes with our people like Fouché coming from when they creep him up on the line at safety. And they did bring him on some run blitzes early in the game, and he made some plays there. And I would like to have seen maybe some, that. But like you said, you do put yourself in a situation where Leach's teams know where those blitzes are coming from, and they know how to replace that player with an offensive guy and get a gainer there.
Yeah. If you're a zone blitz team, you can get away with it more than if you're a man blitz team, unless you just have just overwhelming talent out there. But by and large, Mike Leach is going to have enough good receivers that you can't just line up and play man against them, or they're going to eat you alive.
Yeah. And I think one of the differences we saw in the Arkansas defense this week was Ridgeway. Ridgeway had a bad couple of games before the break, and I consider the break before UAPB. I consider that as a second off week for us. But before that, Ridgeway was starting to kind of disappear on us. He wasn't giving us the same amount of effort, it didn't seem. He wasn't making the impact. But this game, he made the impact. We saw at the nose tackle, we saw especially with a 3-man front, what a strong nose does for a team.
Well, I sent you a Marco Polo, I guess, like in the group, and I was like, I guess they don't call holding anymore.
Yeah.
Because the left tackle, who's supposed to be like a top pick, he was holding Williams every play.
Yeah.
And John Ridgeway was just getting mugged.
Yeah.
I mean, they were. I mean, he was getting held. I mean, they could.
Some of that was there was 2 or 3 guys blocking him, so they couldn't see a hold because they were all too many hands on him to even see what was going on. One of the things the Hogs did better at, and this will lead us into our players of the game that we've been talking about for a while, is they started Dominique Johnson at tailback. He's, Traylon Smith had been the starter. Traylon Smith has been great for this team, and he's been a transfer portal guy that we've has given a lot to this team. But when it comes down to it, the guy weighs 185 pounds, and he's not going to wear down anybody down. And Dominique Johnson had just been getting results. He was averaging 6-7 yards a carry. and even Pittman in his press conferences was saying, we got to get Dominique the ball more. And those are the words of a coach kind of toward his offensive coordinator saying, we're going to get Dominique the ball more. And finally they did. And he looked good, fellas. He looked good. He ran hard. It's funny, one of the reporters compared him to Marshawn Lynch as far as his body style and the way he runs. And they asked him in the post-game press conference, they said, who do you consider, someone you model your game after? He said, well, it's kind of funny, but it's Marshawn Lynch. Now, he's no Marshawn Lynch. But I think we found our main back. And I'm still a believer that you take him, you take Rocket Sanders, you have 240 pounds, you have 225 pounds. Sanders has top-notch speed. I would rotate those two until they're just tired and then bring someone else in. But I would ride their backs as long as I could.
So, yeah, he was one of them that we flipped from Missouri. I think he was going to go play for Oldham at Missouri. Three-star prospect. He wasn't as big a recruit as some of the other ones, and he's went out there and earned it. He's a team player, moved to tight end at one point for him just to help.
Yeah, because we just didn't have bodies at tight end. Yeah, and he was a big body.
And he's not my player of the game. But, I mean, Trey Knox, he continues to shine at tight end, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He made several key passes.
At 220 pounds.
Yeah. And you noticed, me and you talked about it, when it came gut check time, that 2-minute drill, that's who was in there at tight end. Mm-hmm. Except for, at the end after they called the timeout, they put Kern in there because
that was an obvious blocking.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he can't block like Kern, but he's really showed out. He really has. And I'm happy that Dominic Johnson got moved back to running back because he's going to be the bell cow going forward. I think he's going to be because Pittman even was talking about it in the press conference, like, well, he got 16 carries a game, and his last one looked stronger than his first one. Mm-hmm. So that tells you he can handle more. So I think he's going to get even more carries.
Yeah. Now, Patrick, how do you think LSU will handle a big back like that? Have they? You may have watched them a little closer than us this year, or a little bit anyway. When you're not having to work on your games with Northwestern,
right?
But you think a big back like that's going to do better against LSU, or you think a more shifty, speedy guy?
I don't know, to be honest with you. They've kind of faced a little bit of everything and have had a lot of success. I mean, they just held Alabama to 6 yards rushing for a game, which is completely insane to hold a Nick Saban team to 6 yards rushing. They just got a couple of defensive linemen back over the last couple of weeks. They are decimated defensively in the secondary. Basically, their top 3 corners are all gone. One of their top safeties is gone. They're missing their best kind of rush end. He's gone. But they've got some beef inside. Neil Farrell is just an absolute monster on that inside. He harassed the Alabama guys all game long. They've got even their second string guys are better than most people's first, because it's still LSU. They're still talented. I think a bigger back would be fine. I just don't think I don't think your success against LSU comes with pounding your head against a wall in the run game. I think you've got to make plays through the air. You saw Young do it. He had some effectiveness that way. There's abilities and there's opportunities to make plays in the passing game. just not as much in the run game because they are so stout up the middle. You add, Farrell and got a couple other nice D tackles inside. Damone Clark, who leads the nation in tackles. He's in there. So it's hard to really run between the tackles against this team. If you're going to have success, you either have to get wide or you need to go down the field and press their lack of depth. I mean, they're playing guys. They're playing a Nichols transfer at corner. And when the Nichols transfer is in at corner, that's not a good sign for LSU. But I will say this. They are playing, in my opinion, the greatest name currently in college football. And I'm a little disappointed that you guys don't have him on your team. That is Pig Cage.
Oh, man. Pig Cage is awesome. Pull. That's going to be awesome.
That's right.
Yeah. How Arkansas doesn't have Pig Cage, I'll never understand.
Yeah,
but
I think you automatically offer that guy a scholarship.
I'm going to blame that one on Chad Morris, not offering.
Yeah, it's probably Morris's fault. But yeah, you guys should have Pig Cage on your team. There's no doubt about it. But he's another of these, you got transfers, you got young kids. The vulnerabilities for LSU is in the secondary, much more so in the front, because they still have really good guys up front.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And LSU's got depth. I mean, they're one of them schools, their second team could probably play with anybody in the country.
But I think I heard a stat of one of the 24/7 sports recruiting guys said that one of their, they do a study of, the different stars, of recruits or whatever, and that LSU had the 5th best roster of any team in the nation still. And, not really near that 5th best in the nation.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. So doesn't surprise me at all.
Clint, did share your pick for the player of the game real quick.
Well, the difference in the game was we could make field goals and Mississippi State couldn't.
Yeah.
You can talk about all the schematics thing. We did a good job. We recruited the number 1 kicker in the country, Cam Little, to campus. He made 3 huge field goals. And that was the difference in the game. That's why I've got to give it to Cam Little. I thought about the offensive line, thought about Trey Knox, Traylon Burks, Kj Jefferson. There's so many guys you can give it to, but at the end of the day, we made kicks and they did not.
Right. And then you love seeing Cam Little after the Mississippi State guy misses the game winner. He's the first one there to console the guy.
Yeah, and I felt bad for the kid, especially the way I don't know how I feel about it, because I think Leach was kind of being tongue-in-cheek, but then I think there was a little – it's like anytime you make a joke, there's a little bit of seriousness to it.
Yeah.
And I think he was
when he said there's open tryouts.
Tryouts.
Yeah.
That was just an ugly, ugly kick attempt.
And the other thing you got to love about Cam Little is he's raising money for his little brother has cerebral palsy or Down syndrome, one of the two. His little brother has that, and so he's raising money for that. So every kick he makes out of his pocket, he's donating $10 for every kick he makes. And then, of course, on social media, he's asking people to match it each week. And so he donated $30 this week. And, for a college kid, that's, I don't think he's got any name, image, likeness deals yet. Yeah. So that's a pretty neat deal.
He keeps making kicks like that, he will.
Now, Patrick, we got you on here not just for your SEC and LSU football knowledge. Oh, look at that.
Oh, he's a freshman. This is on Pittman.
Big Cage. Let's get him in the transfer portal.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, look, you already got Wright's Barbecue up there in Fayetteville, sponsoring everybody. So
that's right.
This is a perfect fit.
That's right. Well, we also this week is what I think most, even Clint would agree, is the most underrated rivalry.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
In college football, maybe in sports. that there is, and it doesn't get enough attention. It should have. College Game Day should already have been there to cover this.
I agree 110%. And I played at a rival school of both schools for sure.
But it's the Battle of the Ravine.
Yeah.
OBU, which Patrick and I went to against those dirty Henderson State Ready Spirits. Okay. From across the way. That Babylon from the other side of the ravine. What's the record, Patrick? Is it like 46, 47? And
yeah, it's something I'm not sure what the exact record is, but it's something like that. It's something crazy.
Yeah.
It's like within one game.
Yeah. Okay. These teams literally, one team will walk. The road team walks to the game. Okay. Nowhere else does that happen that I know of.
They get dressed in their own locker room. They have their own stuff, and they literally walk across a 2-lane road to get to the other campus.
You can see each other's stadiums from each other. It's, two D2 schools in the same town, in the same conference. They work. Well, college athletes don't work anymore, but they're some of them even take classes on each other's campuses. It's a special rivalry.
It is.
Talk a little bit about, Patrick, what your impressions are of it and why you think it's so probably underrated.
Well, I'll say this, just, being an OBU graduate, it's so much better to be a Tiger than a Wonder Boy. I mean, I don't even know what a Wonder Boy is.
That's right.
It sounds just so suspicious. So, I just assume they're all out there in like Kiwi uniforms and periwinkle. So anyway,
I'll need to tell y'all my recruiting trip to OBU story after this is over.
Well, the problem is, I'm sure when you were being recruited, OBU was still not very good. As they weren't while T and I were there, they were not very good at those period of time. I'll put it to you this way: while I was at OBU, they hire a college football legend to be the head coach, who it was like, what? I really like the fact that when you run the wishbone, they play man against your receivers. And so I'm going to run the wishbone and throw. So he literally ran the wishbone to throw out of it. Now, did we have a game where the starting quarterback completed 10 passes for 350 yards? Yes, that happened. But it's such a great rivalry, man. It's so fantastic. You've got, the campuses are so close to each other. Everyone knows someone from the other campus. It's just phenomenal. I mean, there's no two ways about it. And Sports Illustrated wrote a piece about it a couple of years ago. Greg Doyle, from when he was at CBS, now with the Indianapolis Star, when he was with CBS, he wrote a great piece about it. Like, there's the stories go on and on, guarding the Tiger, and Henderson has to turn the fountain off because it'll get, sudsed over. Now it's gotten to the point where they have to literally cover the scoreboard up at OBU Stadium. It's gotten out of hand at times. There's been some vandalism, but most of the time it's been in really good fun. But it's just like, what great rivalry where you literally are in the same town. You're a divided highway across from each other, and you see people from your most hated school in church, in the grocery store, wherever you're out in public, like eating at restaurants. You're running into people from Henderson, and Henderson people are running into OBU people. There's nothing else like it. Where else do you have two? And these are Division II universities. These are not, little tiny NAIA schools or anything. Where else do you have two major NCAA universities in the same town as each other. Like it's not a, not some giant, it's not like Austin or something. Like it's
a town of less than what, 15,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Dallas, right? I mean, you got SMU and TCU and all, but none of them are near each other. But the idea, like T talked about, you can you get dressed in your own locker room, and when you're the visiting team, you go walk across. They literally stop two state troopers come in and stop all the traffic on Highway 61, I think is what it is.
7 and something. It's 7 and something else. Yeah.
Right. So they literally come and they stop traffic. Yeah. And everybody just goes and walks across the 2-lane highway to the opposing field. It's just so awesome, and people get into it, and it's always it's always a packed house. I just love it, man. That's what college athletics is about. As a matter of fact, I was part of a coach getting kicked out of one of the basketball Battle of the Ravines. I was doing PA, and the coach of Henderson got kicked out. We were in Vining Arena at OBU. Coach from Henderson gets kicked out of the game for a technical. Everybody quiets down. I'm on the PA. I waited till everyone stopped going crazy, and then I'm like, the head coach, I don't even remember his name, has been ejected from the game, and everybody goes crazy. And then one of our mutual friends was in the tiger costume and went over and messed with him, and he got smacked.
Oh, I was at that game. That's what I was, because that was Mike Floyd. I was at that game. Yes. I was what was it, Murphy, the offensive line coach? I was there talking to him, and they let me in the game for free, as a recruit. And Floyd got. And
what's funny about that is, and by the way, Mike Floyd, we're gonna have him on next week for the Alabama game. He's living in Alabama now, so we thought
teaser.
Neat to bring him in. But Mike and I were in the dorm, Daniel South, first floor, and we're down there hanging out the night before. And there was this couple of the basketball players would always come and bum clothes washing detergent from us, because we were right across from the clothes deal. And this one guy, he never
they call that the laundry room.
Yeah, the laundry room.
The clothes deal. I think is
So we called this one guy. I forget his name. We just called him Mooch because he was always mooching stuff off of us. Anyway, so he had this guy with him, and we introduced ourselves. And he's a tall guy. He's like 6'6". Is Ryan Gore, played for Henderson, and he's hanging out on Washita's dorm the night before they played. And so we're talking and stuff, and Mike tells him, he says, "Man, I may mess with you some. I'm the Tiger, so just be ready if I mess with you a little bit." And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, that's cool, no problem." Well, we get to the game, and if you remember at halftime, that one guy, I think his name was Guy, had the long hair, and he had the remote control cars. Remember that? And one of them was a tiger head, and one of them was a Reddy helmet. And his kids would play with him on the floor. And a Henderson guy came down there and smashed the tiger one.
Oh, I do remember that. I do remember that. Yeah.
And he went up in the stands after the guy, and he was a super guy. He wasn't going to fight him, but he wanted him to pay for his daggum remote control car and apologize to his kid who was crying down there on the floor. Well, the cops escort him out. That's all happening at halftime, right? The teams come out, and it's standing room only. There's over 3,000 people in an auditorium in a gymnasium that seats 2,300. I mean, it was
maybe.
Yeah, it was
maybe.
packed, yeah.
And so then that happens. The coach gets kicked out, and then they kick that Ryan Gore out too. And Mike Floyd walks up to him and sticks his arm out like to escort him.
Just going to escort him off, he was having fun with it.
Just slammed Mike's head, and Mike wore glasses, and his glasses got spun around in there, and he didn't really hurt him, but Mike acted like he took the fall, and he fell to the ground. And then all of a sudden you did that announcement, and then he jumps up, and the crowd just went nuts, man. I mean, it was, and then that's the game that our point guard was Page. Wasn't that his name?
It's been so long, man. I've called so many games between now and then.
I know, but he was. I think his name was Page. I forget his first name. But anyway, he dunked in the 100th point, and 100 points mean free tacos at Taco Bell. Remember they had that on the ticket stub. If we, we got a free taco if they scored 100 points. So we beat Henderson there, and that Ron Gore guy ended up getting kicked out of school over that.
Wow. I know, because Floyd actually went and tried to say, no, don't kick him out. I mean, because
Mike went over and said, hey, man, I was messing with him. He knew who I was. It wasn't out of, and he was upset, but he said he don't need to be kicked out. Like, he stood up for him. Anyway. But, Patrick, tell the story before we get to the picks.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the story of the stolen homecoming queen.
Yeah, so this
is the best rivalry story ever.
So this was what, the 40s maybe, or the 50s?
I think so, yeah.
A long time ago. Basically, OBU at that time was led by Bill Vining, excuse me. His son was Mike Vining, but Bill Vining, who, the arena is named after him now. So, Bill Vining's kind of the lead guy, and his girlfriend was the homecoming queen for that year. Well, some Henderson students decided that they were going to pull the prank for Battle of the Ravine week. So they go and actually kidnapped her. Now, before everyone freaks out, it was, like, hey, please get in the car. Like, we're kidnapping you. There was not guns.
She knew
them already. You're right. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't, it was very friendly and very nice. They didn't harm her in any way. And basically they put her in the car and drove her to Hot Springs and put her up in a hotel in Hot Springs. And I'm sure they probably disconnected the phone or took the phone or something so she couldn't call. But anyway, they kidnap her and take her to a hotel in Hot Springs. Well, Bill Vining and our dorm parent, Ike Sharp, who was an offensive lineman and the kicker for OBU, they kind of round up a posse to go looking for the kidnapped homecoming queen. And so they start going door to door around all these various areas. And I think they had maybe a rifle with them, an old school rifle, maybe something like that. It wasn't, they weren't carrying, a bunch of weapons. They just had one hunting rifle or whatever. And they were going door to door trying to find the missing homecoming queen. And they kept her there. I want to say 2 days, maybe, or one night. I was thinking
it may have been 3.
Yeah, it might have been
something
3.
like that. 2 or 3.
Yeah,
days.
they kept her in the hotel. Again, not like she was, being held hostage. She was there. Yeah. They weren't letting her go, but she wasn't being, she wasn't a prisoner of war or anything. She had food, and they took care of her or whatever. Yeah. And so that was one of the ultimate pranks. Was they literally stole OBU's homecoming queen before the Battle of the Ravine. And you've had the OBU folks. Henderson has a fountain in front of their campus, and you've had them put foam and stuff in the fountain to suds the fountain up with purple paint,
purple egg dye,
purple dye. You've had the Henderson folks came over and took the tail off of the big tiger statue in the middle of campus at OBU and hid it. They buried it somewhere. You've had Henderson has a really good they have a really good pilot program, a flight instructor program. And so someone took a little biplane and flew over the OBU campus and dropped red and gray marshmallows all over campus, over OBU's campus. So, for the most part, the pranks are harmless. I mean, one time, I think not long after we were out of school, some Henderson people went over and poured gasoline on the OBU field, and that kills the grass, obviously, and they put HSU or whatever in the grass in gas, so it killed the grass. You've had some vandalism type things, but for the most part, it is a really good rivalry in good, clean fun. And some of the pranks that have happened throughout the years are legendary, and just it's just phenomenal. It's just everything that's right with college athletics.
It is. It is that. So if you get a chance, check out that game. This year, it's OBU has lost. The playoffs doesn't look good for them, but they can be the spoiler, and there is a way they can get in. But it should be a good game. They're both really good teams, so it should be a quality game. Now, Patrick, we do picks every week. Okay. And
All right.
we have a guest picker each week. And then we also, just to add a little fun to it, we get our mom's picks. So our moms are also picking. Now, most weeks, the moms, it hadn't been that big of a deal.
Bit of a struggle.
They've struggled. But this week, it's a little different.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Well, because, here's from last week, okay? Mama Sue got 4 correct.
Not a good week.
Jumbo got 5 correct. Jumbo
I'm actually surprised.
Yeah, he was good thing we didn't go with his numbers picks on some of them.
Yeah. I don't think anybody won by 1,000.
Yeah, some teams 1,000 and minus 200. Next is Clint with 6 correct.
Rough week.
Next is Bigger T with 7 correct.
Miss Betty.
Mama Betty, Mama, 8 correct.
Ooh.
Only missed 2. She got Atkins wrong. We did a couple of high school games. And she missed on the Florida game.
Yeah.
But she picked Tennessee correct. Once again, picking them because that's where Elvis is from. And some others just, hey, Mama Betty,
good week.
doing it big. Okay. So that brings the overall Mama Sue and our guest pickers are at 45 correct. Mama Betty is at 47 correct on the season.
I fell another one behind.
Clint is at 57 correct. And I'm leading all pickers at 60 correct. Once again, this streak will never happen again for me. All right, here we go, Patrick.
All right.
North Carolina at Pitt. Who you got?
Is this straight up or against the spread? I meant
Straight
to
up.
ask.
Straight up.
All right. Pitt's obviously highly ranked. They've got a really good quarterback, but man, Mac Brown loves to be a spoiler. I'm going to take North Carolina in the upset on that one.
Okay.
Mama Sue's taking Pitt. I think North Carolina and Wake Forest are still trading touchdowns. I'm going to go ahead and take Pitt because every time I picked North Carolina, they've let me down. They lost to that Division II school in Tallahassee. Can't trust them.
Florida State. Yeah. Clint's not a Norvell fan.
I'm not a Mike Norvell fan at all.
But have you seen the picture of him from his Central Arkansas days?
I have. He looks like a scrub.
Pretty sweet.
Mama Betty said Pitt. And I'm going to agree with Patrick and say North Carolina. I think Mac Brown does it again somehow, some way. Michigan at Penn State. Patrick, who you got?
This is a tough one. I like it at Happy Valley. I think that makes a huge difference. I will never be sold on Jim Harbaugh. I don't care what happens. Give me Penn State in this one. I just
You're not
think
a khaki
somehow
fan.
I'm not a khaki guy. Also, interestingly enough, just something to kind of file away. Michigan number 7 in the country at Penn State. Penn State is a 1-point favorite in the game.
Yep. You think Franklin's the next coach at LSU?
No.
Okay.
Who do you think it is?
Oh, this is such a tough question, man. I think I think Franklin would do a good job. I'm just not sure he wants to go back into the SEC with Oklahoma and Texas coming. when he knows that he's got a chance to win the Big Ten every year, year in and year out, and get a playoff spot. So I don't think he's coming. I personally would put I think leading the pack right now is Lane Kiffin. And I think you probably have some sort of dark horse floating around out there. I don't know who it is, but knowing Scott Woodward, he is a guy he hired Jimbo from Florida State to A&M. So don't be surprised if he comes up with some name out of nowhere that no one's expecting and we didn't think would happen, including Jimbo, by the way.
By the way, I'm on record. I think it's going to be Aranda from Baylor. Mama Sue and myself both going Michigan.
Okay. Mama Betty said Michigan. I'm going Penn State. OU at Baylor. The Bears coming off a tough loss to TCU, and the Chandler Morris era begins at TCU.
Chandler Morris has more Power 5 wins than Chad.
That's right.
I'm on OU for this one. I think they have so much more to lose than anyone else does right now. They've still got an opportunity to get in the playoffs. I think I like Aranda a lot. I honestly wouldn't mind if Aranda was named the head coach at LSU because he's a really gifted defensive mind. I just think OU's got too much in this one.
Mama Sue's picked OU. OU hasn't looked good all year. They just haven't. If it's like I think it's going to be, I'm going to pick Baylor, but it wouldn't shock me if OU somehow sneaks this one in. But I'm going to go ahead and go with Baylor.
Okay. You're the only one going Baylor. Mama Betty picked OU, and I'm picking OU. Mississippi State, coming off that tough loss without a kicker to the Hogs, playing at Auburn.
Oh, man.
By the way, Bo Nix, born in Arkadelphia, right?
Really? Oh, is that Patrick Nix's kid?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah,
Pat
then I
Nix
guess he was.
Yeah, when I was playing at Tech, he was head coach at
he was the head coach,
Yeah.
and I think that's about the time he was born. I think he was.
You could be right. I honestly, I think I knew that at one point in time and just forgot. Like it just that Patrick Nix was even his dad. I think I'd forgotten that. Mississippi State, Auburn, at Auburn. I don't want to pick Bo Nix, but I can't pick Mike Leach. So give me Auburn.
Okay.
Mama Sue picked Auburn. You just don't know which Bo Nix is going to show up. If the Bo Nix that showed up against Arkansas shows up, then Auburn. If the Bo Nix that showed up against literally anyone else shows up,
no, look what he did to LSU, man. He just single-handedly beat LSU. So
well, and he looked really bad this week against A&M. Like it was really bad quarterback play all the way around. But I'm still gonna go Auburn.
Okay. Mama Betty and I both say Auburn. I'm a believer in their coach. Once again, I struggle with Bo Nix. But I do like their coach, like him at Arkansas State. Texas A&M at Ole Miss.
a lot of this, I think, depends on Corral's health. You know, he hasn't been healthy the last couple of weeks, but he's kind of gutted it out. At Ole Miss, I like Lane Kiffin. I think he does a great job. I'll take Ole Miss at home, mostly because they're at home, and I think Lane finds a way to score against Craig Elko and A&M.
Okay.
Mama Sue going A&M. I'm going to take Ole Miss.
Mama Betty says A&M. I'm taking Ole Miss also. I agree for the same reasons Patrick said, and
stop copying me.
I think Corral's going to I think he's going to gut it out. I think he did last week, and as long as that ankle, that leg, or whatever is bothering him is not getting worse, I think he'll continue. He's shown a lot of leadership this year. North Carolina State at Wake Forest.
What are we supposed to make of Wake Forest?
Yeah.
Like seriously, they got their first loss of the year. They had to go to overtime to beat Syracuse by 3. They beat Louisville by 3. They beat Army 70-56. They blew out Duke. Then they lost the 58-55 game to North Carolina. But I'm not a believer in NC State. I can't do it. Give me Wake Forest. I don't like either of them. Can I pick neither? Like, can I do the Brewster's Millions and just pick none of the above?
That's right.
Mama Sue picked Wake Forest. My daughter went to Wake Forest basketball camp a couple years, and it is not a pretty campus. It's just not. You got to drive across town to go to the stadium. I don't see how anyone recruits there. It's Winston-Salem is not a nice town. I'm going North Carolina State. I mean, if Wake Forest had played literally anyone, their record wouldn't be what it is. I mean,
Patrick, you did say Wake.
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right.
I will say this. Sneaky guy to look out for in all of the coaching searches, Dave Clawson from Wake Forest. That guy has built programs everywhere he's been. Wouldn't be surprised if a USC, even an LSU, so one of these programs that has an opening takes a shot on him.
Yep. Okay. So Clint, you said
I went State.
State.
He went NC State because he doesn't like how their jerseys look, or whatever critical football breakdown he had of that.
I've been to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I've been to Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh's a much nicer town.
Okay.
Actually, I think that's an advantage for Wake Forest, right? You get there and you're like, oh, look at this junk heap, and then you don't play well while you're there. So I think it's an advantage for Wake.
Well, me and Mama Betty both said Wake because they're Baptist, I think. Demon Deacons, right?
You can't have demons in there now. That's not the.
All right, so now we're going to hit on, since we've talked a little OBU Henderson, we're going to do a couple other games in the Great American Conference. Another rivalry game, but not as big of a rivalry, is UAM, University of Arkansas Monticello Boll Weevils against SAU Mule Riders. This is the mascot bowl right here. There's nothing else.
So good.
They have great mascots.
Yeah.
Oh. They're both 4-6, so this is probably going to be a pillow fight. What do you think, Patrick?
Well, they're in the Great American Conference. One of those weird conferences where nobody plays non-conference games. They're all conference games. So if you're 4-6, you're also 4-6 in conference. Geez, I don't know. Do I like a bowl? Well, okay. How about this? One of my favorite New Orleans Saints players was a journeyman wide receiver named Steve Rim. Steve Rim had a giant case trunk that he carried his stuff in, and one of the bumper stickers on his trunk said, "Ain't nothing more evil than a damn boll weevil." So
there you go.
Yeah, so I mean that's obviously a very common phrase. So give me the boll weevils.
Okay.
Because there ain't nothing more evil than a boll weevil.
That's right.
I've got a little inside information on this game. I've played at both Monticello and SAU, and the areas that you have to dress out in as the visitor is just awful. At SAU, you literally have to walk across their baseball field to get to the football stadium. It is a hike. That's why I think UAM will get fatigued, and I'm going to go with SAU.
Okay.
The old pregame march to the football stadium.
It is
fatigue
exhausting.
factor.
That's right. What did Mama Sue say?
She said she went with Monticello.
Okay. Mama Betty said SAU. I live down here about 30 minutes from Magnolia, and they have a restaurant called the Flying Burger that originated there. Now they have one in Arkadelphia and in or Caddo Valley and in El Dorado.
And in Shreveport, actually in Bossier.
Is there really one there?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
And it's a really good place to eat. They have great fish, great shrimp. They used to have a crawfish corn bisque that was out of this world.
Sounds amazing.
That sounds suspicious.
Therefore, I'm going to go with SAU for that reason. Flying Burger. That's it.
Who did Mama Betty go with?
She went with SAU also.
I think that's our first pick that we have different from each other, T.
Yeah, is it?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Harding. I just put this one in here because Arkansas Tech, because Clint played there. Harding at Arkansas Tech. Patrick, who you got?
Well, look, if
Eisen or Wonder Boys.
If a group of Wonder Boys gets together and puts the Care Bear stare on you, you might be in trouble. But I don't think that's going to happen. Harding and Henderson are both atop the standings in the GAC. So give me the Bison over the Wonder Boys.
Mama Sue picked Arkansas Tech, and I would love to sit here and say I think Arkansas Tech's going to win. I don't see it happening. I think Harding's probably the class of the GAC, and so I'm going to go ahead and pick Arkansas Tech. Fight on!
Look at him go.
I will go down with this ship.
Okay.
I will go down with this ship. I will pick UMass over Florida State to prove a point. Yeah.
I don't know what point you're proving, but all right.
Yeah.
Mama Betty and I both go Harding.
I mean, I know I'm losing, but you know what? I'm a Wonder Boy.
Hey,
I'm a Wonder Boy.
You are a Wonder Boy, sir.
Thank you.
As Tom Murphy once told me, the offensive line coach at OBU, those people at Harding don't play like Christians. Anyway,
nor do they play music.
No, that's true. All right, Henderson at OBU. OBU's the home team. Patrick, should I just?
Oh, you already know what the pick is, but
OBU.
I will say this. That's right. I will say that I'm going to pick this for one reason. Well, two reasons. One, nothing OBU would love more than to spoil Henderson's opportunity to get a share of the conference championship. That's one. Mm-hmm. Two, Ouachita Baptist University has May the Circle Be Unbroken, the sped up version as its fight song. Henderson State University, in no way religious affiliated at all, has Gimme That Old Time Religion as their fight song. You can't be co-opting God. I'm taking OBU.
Okay.
Mama Sue taking OBU. Guys, I tell you, I went to the Battle of the Ravine at Henderson State when I was thinking about going to OBU, and it was a killer game. And I think Henderson was the much better team at the time, but OBU played with them because you just kind of throw the records out. I think Henderson just got a little bit more talent, so I'm going to go with Henderson. Plus, the nicest visitors locker room there was in my entire time of playing in the GSC. So
well, you're the only one going with Henderson.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing: you don't need a visiting locker room in the Battle of the Ravine. You just walk across the street.
That had no bearing on my pick. I'm just letting y'all know it was nice.
Okay.
It was nice.
All right. Arkansas at LSU. A night game in Death Valley. Patrick, who you got?
So part of me is very concerned that LSU sort of expended a lot to hang with Alabama at Alabama last week. That is a real concern in my mind. Not that anybody got hurt or anything like that, but just a lot of emotional energy being expended to hang close with the number 2 team in the country. Arkansas is obviously playing well. I feel like Arkansas is in they're almost like Alabama light in some ways, where, you've got a quarterback that kind of has that same sort of skill set that Bryce Young is. I don't think he's quite as good as Bryce, but he has that same sort of skill set. We just saw LSU be very effective against that. I'll take LSU. I don't feel good about it. I wouldn't feel good about picking the Hogs either, to be honest with you. This is another this is one I'm going to punt on. I have to pick it for my show against the line, and I have no idea what I'm going to do there yet either. But I'll just take LSU.
What's the line? Arkansas -2?
Let me see. I was just looking at that actually, and did not look at that line.
It actually surprised me that Arkansas came in a little bit of a favorite. Mama Sue picked Arkansas, and Patrick, you made a great point. I don't think Arkansas was emotionally devastated after the Georgia game, but I think they were after the Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
I almost think they let that game beat them twice. And don't get me wrong, I think, Auburn played a good game, but you can only get up like that so many times. And so it really is, you're going to find out really early if Coach O has the locker room or if he doesn't. I think you're going to know how the game's going to go. You're either going to have a dogfight or Arkansas is just going to be up on them. And I think you're going to have a dogfight. Arkansas also hasn't seen Mark Curls referee a game this year. So I'm calling it right now. Somehow Mark Curls gets assigned to this game. Screws Arkansas. LSU wins.
Oh, wow.
By the way, Arkansas is a 2.5-point favorite as of right now. And another thing to watch out for, Garrett Nussmeier, who is going to be right up against his 4-game red shirt. Remember, they changed the rule. You can play 4 games now and still red shirt. Right. He's right up against his 4-game red shirt. That's why he didn't play against Alabama. He has gone in and told Orgeron that he wants to play. He doesn't care about his red shirt. Expect to see Garrett Nussmeier getting some time on the field in relief of Max Johnson.
Wow. Okay. Well, Mama Betty said Arkansas. This game always scares me. LSU normally has more talent. A lot of people in Arkansas are confident because of they don't know what the coaching change and all that stuff. They think LSU is going to be down. But then the way they played last week, they still got talent, and Coach O still has them fighting. I'm going to pick Arkansas, but everything y'all said is true. It's one of those. To Arkansas, it's still a rivalry game. I don't know if it's not so much to LSU. There has been a little talk about the boot up here.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good game, I think. And I hope we have everything fixed from when we went down to Georgia and we played against a raucous crowd, and they got to us early in that game. And that started us in the quicksand, man. We couldn't dig out of it. And I hope that doesn't happen down there. Yeah. That very well could happen down there.
Good. Yeah, that's one thing. That's what part of what led me to pick LSU was how I don't feel. The Ole Miss crowd's not like the Georgia crowd. The Ole Miss crowd's not like a nighttime LSU crowd. Patrick, how do you think the crowd's going to be there? How do you think the fans are? Are they going to come? Because we lived through the Chad Morris years where there was no home field advantage, and now you come to Arkansas, and obviously being a nighttime kick, it would be just out of this world. But how are the LSU fans? Are they going to come out and support, or is it going to be?
That's a great question, because the last home game they had a decent crowd, but it was probably their capacity is over 100, and it was probably 70. 65, 70, something like that. There were a lot of empty seats. Is playing Alabama tough enough to get people to want to come out and watch? I don't know. You probably have a lot of people that just show up to drink and stay out at their tailgates and may not even go in and watch the game.
Yeah.
I don't expect a capacity crowd, but I think it'll probably be the biggest crowd they've had all year.
Yeah. For us, Mississippi State was 68,000. I think Reynolds Razorback holds 75.
Yeah.
So it was a good crowd for us.
And they impacted the game late in the game a little bit, and they definitely got behind the team and helped. So, and I'm sure LSU has one of the best atmospheres in college sports. So even with a smaller amount of people, 70 can still get real loud.
Oh yeah.
When they need to. So, well, Patrick, man, it has been awesome having you on here again. Plug your show, how people can watch it, listen to it, and all that.
No, I'm sorry. You were going to go back to your copious notes that you made before the before the thing. It's the cleverly named Patrick Netherton Show. You can find it on Facebook, facebook.com/Netherton Show, or find us on Twitter at Netherton Show. We're all over the place. Or you can listen to it. We have an app or any of that stuff. But basically, Facebook's the easiest way to find it. Or find me on Twitter. I'm at PT Netherton. P is in Patrick. T is in my middle name, starts with T, and Netherton. And if you don't know, you can see what my name, how it's spelled right down there. So PT Netherton is my Twitter, and come follow us and hang out.
It's an excellent show. He's going to talk sports. He's going to talk national sports. He's going to talk barbecue. He loves to talk barbecue, and
you're dang right.
We talked a little bit last time you were on here. We had too much sports stuff this time, but
the new Texas Monthly Top 50 list came out. So that's a good topic of discussion come summertime.
If nothing else, you need to follow Patrick on social media just to see pictures of some awesome barbecue that he gets to eat. Because every town he goes to, he takes pictures and goes to eat at the best barbecue joints around, and it's mouthwatering. Yeah. Now, also, Patrick, our boy Big C, Clint, is heading to Vegas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To the big city in the desert. Okay. And he's not going out there to try out to be a showgirl.
I did that last year.
He's not going to try out to be an Elvis impersonator, although he wants to, but that's not it. He's going out to fight in jiu-jitsu, compete. I guess. Did you call it fight? You don't call it fight.
They call it fight, but I think it's dumb to call it fight. Well, because we're not really fighting. We're grappling.
Compete in jiu-jitsu worlds, right?
Yeah, Master Worlds. So
Master Worlds.
So
Patrick,
what's the best barbecue place in Vegas?
Oh, I have no idea.
All right,
I haven't.
I'm happy
I haven't. Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, I haven't. I think I haven't been to Vegas since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even really into barbecue at that point. So I honestly don't know. I will tell you that if you can find a good barbecue place and maybe get a little pork grease on you, that'll make it tougher for those other men to grab a hold of you as easily. So I'm just saying
that's good thinking.
I'm just saying, put a little extra rib grease on there, and
that's right.
Maybe someone and make you extra slippery.
Yeah. I think the time before last when I went out there, I ate at Rolling and Smoke, which is the Pawn Star guys. He owns a stake in it.
I know there's a national or there's a chain that I can't remember. I can't think of it offhand, but I think there's one in Vegas that's a kind of a barbecue national chain that is fairly well regarded, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
I'll see what's close to my Airbnb.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, so Clint, get out there, represent well.
Get my
jiu-jitsu them, take them down. Man, I want to see that. Patrick went to one of his matches in Little Rock here a while back, and he did the offensive lineman takedown, just pancake block on a guy to take him down to win the match at the end. It was pretty impressive. And when Clint
this isn't one of those where you like wear diapers or anything, is it? That's not one of those.
I mean, under my gi, yes. On top of my clothes, no.
Yeah. That's just because he gets so excited.
I get very excited.
Well, when you're a Wonder Boy, sometimes you wear diapers.
Yeah,
that's right.
Where it depends right now.
That's right. That's just because he's on vacation.
I'm on vacation. I ain't got time to go to the bathroom.
But seriously, Clint, have a great time, man, and tear them up or whatever you do. Pin them,
grapple
them out, grapple them up. Once again, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for paying attention to these knuckleheads that are us. Get on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, share, like, and share. Listen to some Sean Michelle music. Hometown Roofing. Check them out. We need a roof. They're still our only sponsor because he's bought us dinner a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I'm hungry again, Branscombe.
That's right. Come on, Branscombe. All right, man. Here we go. Thanks, guys. And it's been real. It's been fun. And it's been real fun. Let's go.
Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Sweat, work, filthy, dirt, harvest, hurt, kingdom come. Listen, that's why I sweat when I work. My hands get filthy down in this dirt. Won't see no harvest till I hurt. Crying your kingdom come. Listen, I wake up in the morning, I bow my head to pray. Mama told me if I don't, ain't nothing gonna change. These prayers breaking up hard drive so I can sow the seed. Ain't afraid of no aches and pain. Lord knows I gotta follow his lead. That's why I sweat when I work. My hands get